Hello, everyone. This is Chad Hill, and I have Adam Stetzer on the phone.
Good afternoon, everybody. Great to be here.
Today, we're going to be talking about selling SEO, a subject that is near and dear to everyone's heart here. So let's jump right in and talk about this. I wanted to start with just going through the funnel, at least as we look at it and use it every day here at HubShout, and as all of you will use it in your businesses. So we generally look at the funnel going from finding potential prospects all the way to closing deals. And today I'm going to walk through each part of this, but just want to name these before we jump through them. So we start with lead generation, which drives traffic to the website sometimes. Sometimes maybe it comes to you directly through a phone call or even a personal contact. But website is an important part here. From the website, you're looking for a call to action to get them to move from reading your information to actually giving you contact information or even calling you so that you can have a discussion with them. We believe really strongly in the demo. We think it's a great way of taking one of the main differentiators that you have as part of our SEO Reseller program, our white label dashboard, and getting that front and center in the sales process. So we believe that you can very easily tell the story of SEO and other online marketing campaigns by using the dashboard. So that's a very important part of the funnel. From there, we move into proposal, talk about, we've had webinars on that, but we'll touch on that again here for a minute. And then one of the most critical things is getting it down to close. We know there's a lot of time that goes into creating proposals and getting them out there. And if you don't have the diligence to continue to follow up once the proposal is done and actually make that person comfortable enough with the proposal and with your capabilities, you can get all the way through this funnel and never get anything out of the bottom, which ultimately is a new customer, which is revenue, and allows you to grow your business. So the close is also a really important part here. Now I have on the right-hand side a vertical arrow going back and forth because one of the things that also we find critically important is you have to have some type of system to manage the follow-up as you move people through this funnel. It's way too easy to do all the hard work of finding the prospect, getting them to your website, getting through a demo, getting them a proposal, and then forgetting to follow up in a very efficient and programmed way so that you can get them from the proposal actually through to a closed deal. So we're going to talk about that as well. This slide we're going to talk about is lead generation and the first 10 clients. The reason the first 10 clients are critical and really maybe different than going from your first 10 to your next 10 is that in my experience and talking to a lot of resellers and actually having started HubShout and previous companies is that those first 10 customers tend to come from a different group than maybe the way you grow your business. The three things I have here are really all about using your personal network to get those first 10. So I put to the right on this slide sort of a rule that we got from a duct tape marketing consultant. It's all about following the 4-3-2-1 rule for referrals. And I always thought this was just a great little rule to sort of stick on your whiteboard somewhere or hang on your wall so that when you think about what am I doing to build and grow my business, you think about the 4-3-2-1 rule, which says that you want to make 4 phone calls a day, write 3 notes a week, hold 2 meetings a week, and attend 1 event a week. And in some ways, it kind of works backwards because that 1 event a week is oftentimes where you get the contacts to make those extra phone calls, and then obviously following up with notes to those people and then scheduling meetings. But that 4-3-2-1 rule is a great way of just making sure that at any given time that you're taking the effort to reach out and start building your list and building the number of people who may be interested in your product so that you can actually get people further down into the funnel. Now, I also wanted to talk about some of the tools that HubShout offers that can help you with your first 10 clients. The first one is our monthly newsletter content. So as part of our reseller program, all of you guys get around the 13th of the month our search news newsletter. We have one of our marketing team members go out, scour the web, look at all the important um, uh, websites where people are talking about search engine marketing, and we pull together sort of the current events of the month. And these are really good because they're relatively easy to consume. It's not super technical stuff. It's stuff that an average business user could understand. And we put those together in a nicely formatted email HTML template with graphics and everything. And we give that to you as part of your SEO Reseller program membership or being part of our program. And now, generally speaking, we take that content and we send it out to all of your current customers with us, but we let you know that you can use that content for your own marketing purposes. And so I want to actually go, after we get off this slide, I want to actually walk you through how easy it is to actually take our newsletter, set it up in the email marketing tool, and how you can go about sending this out to your prospects.
Jed, before you leave the slide, can I back you up one step?
Yep.
I've been manning the chat window here, and a couple questions even on your first slide that came in. One was, we're just starting an agency here, recently retired from AT&T Advertising. Not real familiar with your acronyms. Can you explain what CRM is?
Great point. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. And really what it is just having some system, some trusted system that you can use to actually manage your interactions with your customers. So whether that's your current in-force clients or whether that's leads, it's just some system that you develop, and it could be as simple as pen and paper, which works when you're one person, all the way up to what HubShout uses. We have our own built-in CRM that you can use as part of again, being part of our SEO reseller program. Or some people choose to use third-party tools like Salesforce, or there's a number of other ones out there like Salesforce.
Another one that came in here for you, Chad, was, well, I use Outlook to remind me to call my contacts. This seems to work pretty well for me. Any problems with that?
Again, I think Outlook is fine as long as you're using it as you have a system built in. I think one of the things that we see a lot, and it's very easy to fall into this trap, is that we manage that our email inboxes become our task management system. And the problem with that is that it's way too easy to be overrun with tasks. So if you look at every email as a potential task, if you're not careful, you're not really setting follow-up reminders to yourself to make things happen. Now, if you're using Outlook in a way where an email comes in and you respond to it, and then you go to your task, either your calendar or your task section of Outlook, and you schedule a future task to remind yourself to follow up with that person, then that's probably okay. The one downside to Outlook, and there's probably other ones Adam may want to mention a few as well, but the one downside to Outlook is that you don't have a place where you're tracking. You have contacts, but you don't necessarily have which of those contacts are doing business with you at any given time and where, and you don't really have an opportunity attached to that contact. So you may have in your contact library 100 contacts, but if you're not careful, you won't really know that contact, Hill is waiting for a proposal from you, but another contact already has a proposal and needs to be followed up on. So what a CRM often does is it adds in a few other objects, if you will, that allow you to link contacts to business stages, so that you know that a person needs a proposal or that they already have a proposal and they have an active account. And so that's really what a CRM system does that maybe Outlook is a little weak on.
Yeah, I think that's well put. I mean, it can work. So I think for that person who typed it in, great. If it's working for you, awesome. But I do think a lot of people see the shortcomings. I mean, Outlook is time-based. So everything has to be scheduled. That's what it's meant to do, versus a CRM is going to list things in terms of here are the things that need to be done today at any given time. So to me, I like to very much have my calendar separate from my CRM to-do list. And the other thing that Chad alluded to, which I think is quite important, is being able to, for that lead, for that contact, see a full history and know everything I've done on them. And the last thing is the whole issue of orphaned leads. So these are leads that, for some reason or another, the follow-up event never got into your Outlook calendar. What you want is a system that's going to scream at you and say, you haven't touched this lead in 7 days, is that really what you intended? Because with a strong marketing program dumping leads into the top of the funnel that Chad showed earlier, you should have so many that there's no way you can keep track of which ones you haven't touched in 7 days. And so you need a system to remind you so that you can keep making the rounds. Your call list for that downtime is there to touch them all.
Perfect. One other point I wanted to make on this, because I think sometimes it's good to relate personal stories so that people that are getting started kind of reminded me as someone who was talking about just getting going with their reseller business or with their web design or online marketing business. One of the things that I remember from very early on when I started actually a company before HubShout was that I had over time in my career probably collected 500 or 600 different emails, mostly of contacts that I had from different companies I worked at. And that was kind of mismatched across an old Yahoo account I had, an Outlook account that I had that I brought saved from a previous company. And one of the first things I did when I started my company was I consolidated that list and just made an announcement that I had left my job and had started this business, and this is what I was planning on doing. And what was interesting about that is that I think I really did, out of that one email, get 3 or 4 pieces of business. And that was really just letting people know that I was starting this company and this is what the need I was going to be, this was the opportunity that my business would be focusing on. And out of that came 3 or 4 people who wanted to talk to me and actually led to business. So I think that going back to this, the goal here is that those first 10 clients really oftentimes will come out of people you already know. And so without getting too caught up in lead generation or running your own pay-per-click campaign or even having to go to cold calling, you can often get the business going without really having any of that in place. So that's what I wanted to talk about and really make the point here is that those first 10 should be able to come out of people you've already talked to probably in your career.
Yeah, I really like this slide you have, and we actually have a question on it. Chad, could you give more details about how hold 2 meetings a week, that portion of your 4-3-2-1 blue box up there, which would be the right avenues for getting to those meetings?
Yeah, I think that the best example there is take the example I just gave. I sent out that email and I had people respond back to me, hey, yeah, I do have a problem with my online marketing. What kind of stuff can you do for me? Now, the first thing you would probably want to do is say, let me come out and talk to you. And in those early days, you have time to burn, so you want as much personal contact as possible. It's very possible that over time, especially if you're in a bigger market, that just drive time getting from business to business can start to kill you and you want to do more stuff over the phone. But in those early days, you want to get out in front of that customer no matter what. So what I would do is, and actually we just did this with a customer about 2 weeks ago. It was a personal referral from a friend of mine who was a large retailer in the Washington, D.C. area. And again, it was a personal referral. I wanted to make sure that I took good care of that referral. So what we did is we went out and met with this potential customer. And what I did when I had that meeting is I had them beforehand. I ran our web grader, which I want to walk people through how to do a competitive web grader analysis, because I wanted to go to that meeting with some thoughts that actually could talk about things they could do to improve. So I wasn't just going in and listening to them talk. I could actually go in and talk about how I thought I could help them. So I ran a web grader, and I also asked them for Google Analytics access. So I asked them if I could get their Google Analytics username and password so that I could log in and take a look at their Google Analytics and get a sense of what they were doing from an online marketing perspective, where they were getting traffic, whether they were tracking goals on their website, and that type of stuff. So I went to the meeting, put together 4 or 5 slides on, from looking at their entire Google Analytics account. I found 4 or 5 things that I thought were pretty interesting and fit well with the services that we could offer, and took that presentation to them, walked through it, and again, I have a lot of experience with this, but what was really interesting is that it shifted the conversation from me pitching them to me sort of consulting with them, and out of that, they were very happy that I brought with me ideas that backed up the recommendations I had. So for example, I came to them, I ran a WebGrader analysis that showed that them against two of their main competitors in the area and how their monthly traffic was worth $500 and both their competitors were getting $2,000 to $5,000 a month in traffic. They said, what does that mean? So then I basically showed them how there were certain keywords that their competitors ranked on that they didn't rank on at all. So just by them, what that was able to do was able to answer just a basic question on, we always thought these guys were doing better than us. We weren't really sure how or why. And what I was able to do is with the WebGrader just show them very clearly, well, this is how they're beating you. These are the keywords that they actually are ranking on that you're not ranking on, which of course sets up a pretty easy transition to say, and by the way, we can help you with that. Here's what we would do. So that's what I would probably be focused on in order to get those two meetings, is really looking for opportunities in my personal network to go and through personal referrals to go out and have that one-on-one dialogue with someone, but bring some information with me so that I can help educate them on how what my services were, what online marketing services could do to help them.
Yeah, there were a couple other suggestions, Chad, too. If you don't have that network, one person said, look at companies that are advertising already in newspapers or yellow pages, radio, or TV, that have a website that rank poorly, and maybe target them. Someone else popped in and said, could you actually try to target people who are using Google PPC and try to contact them if they're local and have a meeting to sell them SEO?
Yeah, I think both of those points are good. I think especially the second one, making the point that if they do seem to have a big presence in pay-per-click and a pretty weak presence in SEO, that you can certainly make the point that, hey, the investment you're making in pay-per-click is great. We're not saying turn that off, but you should, over time, invest in SEO because the two together will give you better results and will allow you to have more shelf space on the search page. Okay, so I wanted to take everyone through quickly how to use the WebGrader as a lead gen tool, and I've got a quick example that I wanted to walk through. So before the meeting, I went and I searched for Atlanta plumber, and I basically, just for the sake of this example, went to page 5 and grabbed somebody that wasn't ranking as well, a plumber for less, and then I also grabbed a couple of people from page 1. Okay. So when I plugged them into our WebGrader, it came back that a plumber for less was getting about $697 a month, or their organic traffic was worth $697 a month. This Ames Plumbing was $66,000, and All Good Plumbing was $19,000. So this is the kind of example that, and this may be on the extreme side, but this is a good example of the value of SEO. And when this guy, a plumber for less, is looking at why is All Good Plumbing and Ames Plumbing eating my lunch, it's because their organic search results are significantly better than his. So this is where I would explain how we came up with this particular calculation, but then I would take them into a keyword level look at some of the keywords that were actually leading to the difference in the value of their traffic. So here's a good one. You can take like Atlanta plumber. There are 720 searches a month. The Ames plumber is in position 3, and the other competitor is in position 6. So you can see there as we go through that this not only is giving the prospect an idea of just where his competitors are and what they're doing, it also can help us start to identify what kind of campaign might this guy want to go after. So maybe he's just a plumber, he's not interested in HVAC, the air conditioning services. But we could actually go through and start to really get a sense of where there's an opportunity for this person from an SEO standpoint. So this is a great tool that most business people don't really understand, and it's something that you can take in, again, in your private label dashboard, pull it up on your screen, and there all of a sudden you're building credibility and you're able to give them information that you can use to sort of translate into the services that you offer.
Hey, Chad.
Yep.
We had a request that you go through that a little slower from a couple different people. The numbers were a little unclear to them, and they wanted to hear it again.
Okay, no problem. So what I was saying is that let's say I was opening my firm in Atlanta, and through some networking events or personal contact, I was able to get aplumberforless.com. Let's just call him my good buddy Bill, was interested in what I was doing. So the first thing I would do is to say, Bill, I'd love to have a meeting with you and review that and talk about how my services could actually help your business. Now, you can, from that point, do one of two things. You can say, Bill, just so I actually have more information to help in our meeting and to provide, you some good information, give me a couple of the people that you really feel that you're competing against, or that you look at and say, I wish I had a business like theirs. So getting a couple competitors from him might be useful. The other thing you could do is if you didn't want to ask that question or you didn't have the opportunity to ask it, you could do what I did. So I knew that my buddy Bill here, A Plumber for Less, was an Atlanta plumber. So what I did is I went to Google and I searched for Atlanta plumber, because my experience is that when you're able to compare a business to a similar business, that's the value of the web grader really is in its ability to compare people in the same business category. On its own, if you just took Bill a report that said his traffic was worth $697, he might just say, hey, that's great, $697. That sounds like my website's really rocking. But what we want to be able to show is that, no, Bill, that's actually pretty bad. Your website only has $697 of traffic. The guys on page one have, in this case, 100 times that. So the way I got the competitive set was I went and searched on the category Atlanta plumber, and I just picked a couple people off the first page. So I picked Ames Plumbing, and I picked All Good Plumbing. Okay. So then I went back to our web grader, and I plugged in Bill's website, A Plumber for Less, and then two competitors, Ames Plumbing and All Good Plumbing, and I hit submit. So I'm looking at this through the HubShout portal, but every one of your private labeled portals also has the research tab, so you can run this same analysis right on your screen. So now I have the results back here, and the first thing is that I'm like, hot dog, this is going to be an easy meeting. So I'm going to go into Bill now, and I'm going to say, Bill, you have $697 worth of traffic, and I've got two cases here of local Atlanta plumbers. Now, I didn't pick Roto-Rooter, who's a national chain. I didn't pick 1-800-plumber.com. I want to try to get some local guys that focus mostly on being Atlanta plumbers. So I did. I got these two, and I can see here that one guy has $66,000 a month in traffic, and the other one has $19,000 a month. Now,
Yeah,
you're probably asking.
Two different people chiming in saying, I really need to know.
Yep.
One of us, what is that number that says 697 based on? The segment says, please explain how the system came up with that $697 value.
Okay, that's where I was going to head. So let's talk about that. Shock value is the first thing. So now once Bill sees that, you've got to explain where the number came from. So here we go. What we're doing is we're pulling back from a third-party data set all of the rankings that we were able to infer. So this is not perfect, but it's directionally very good. So what that means is we went out and we said, tell me all the keywords that these three websites rank on. And what we got back is we got back this list that has the keyword, how many searches per month there are in that keyword, the average cost per click if you were to buy that click through AdWords, and then your rank and however many competitors you put in to rank. So then the way we take that and we calculate the 697 or the other two numbers is we say, that, for example, septic tank maintenance, 1,600 searches a month, $8.28 a click, and you're in, actually competitor 1 is in position 20. So what we're saying is we're, again, for comparison purposes, going to take that 1,600 searches, we divide it by 20, because what we're saying is that if you're in position 20, you're not really getting that much search traffic off it. So we don't want to count that as 1,600 searches. Instead, we're going to count that as 1,600 divided by 20. We're going to say that you probably get about 80 searches off of that a month, or 80 clicks off of that a month. Okay? Now we need to say, well, what's the value of those 80 visits a month from the term septic tank maintenance? Well, we say, hey, if you had to buy those, if you didn't have search engine optimization and you weren't ranking in the organic results, you would probably, one other way you could get that traffic is you could buy it through AdWords. So if each one of those clicks is $8.28, I'm going to multiply 80 by $8.28. And the value of being ranked in position 20, what we're saying is that's worth about $662 a month. So what we do is we go through this whole list for all 3 of the people, and we do this, we add up the value of every one of their keyword rankings, and then we come back with their score. So that's how we calculate it. Okay, so let me go back to the presentation at this point. So I would take that in and I would basically use those 3 points to talk about how how they compared to other people in their same category. And that would probably lead to a discussion of, hey, I don't like the fact that my traffic is so much lower than these other 2 guys. What can we do to get there? And that now is set yourself up to say, well, let's talk about that, and I can actually walk you through, and maybe we can put together a proposal. So that's what I would do in those meetings, in order to really, rather than going in and just saying, pitching them on SEO, you can now go in with some real data that can help them understand how they compare, give them some business intelligence that you can then use to turn into better opportunities. Now, once you get to your first 10, you now need to start thinking about, how do I go beyond those 10? And this is definitely not something that probably you can do in your current network. So here are some ideas, and we'd love it if there were any other ideas that people have or things that have worked. Please chime in and send Adam those, and he can talk about it. So the first one is search engine optimization. Now, search engine optimization, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. We have some resellers who are focused on an industry niche. So for example, car dealer SEO. And we have other resellers who are focused on a geographic niche. So in this case, Atlanta SEO firm. There are lots of different ways that you can approach this, but it's really important in the SEO business, I think, to have some niche, because just going after the term SEO is obviously way too competitive for most of us, most of the people that are focusing on either our industry or a local niche. The other thing that you can do, and this is a really great opportunity, is focus on partnerships. So just like you partner with us, you can actually go out and work with agencies who may work more traditionally in PR or in traditional advertising, who are looking for a online marketing arm or partner. So working with them is a great way of getting access to potential leads and clients. The next one are doing local presentations and webinars. We've seen some of our resellers who go out and they present, they have an online marketing presentation that they take out to chamber events, or maybe find clients, people like CPAs who have a bunch of clients, and maybe you can schedule a webinar through a CPA firm who wants to help and educate their customer on sort of small business marketing topics. So that's another good idea that you can go after.
Yeah, they work really well.
Another one is a web grader analysis. We already talked about that. But again, there's a way to scale the web grader analysis. We talked about very sort of doing an analysis based on an initial contact. But in theory, if you were focused on trying to talk to a plumber in your market, you could do what I did, go through those 5, 10, 15, 20 pages of plumbers in the Atlanta area and send out web grader reports that you maybe copy and paste into a Word document, or you send them a link with a login to your portal and offer the opportunity for them to have you walk them through what the values on that report mean. So it's a great way of having a tool to get a conversation going. I have conferences on here because we've been to conferences. They're expensive, but oftentimes they work, especially when you're in a vertical market, and you can go to a conference where there's 100 chiropractors in the same room, and you know that a lot of these guys need online marketing services, so you can set up shop and have an opportunity to talk to them. I put email list building on. This is another one that I think works very well. You have to be careful that you don't, that you follow all the canned spam compliance rules around making sure it's very clear that it's an advertisement and have your address in the news, in the actual piece of content. But it's a very effective way, especially if you have a nice targeted piece of content that's relevant to that industry. So again, if you're in the Atlanta market and you're even going more niche than that, it's the Atlanta plumber market, you could actually do some upfront research on trends and keywords that people might be ranking on, and actually send out an email marketing piece on that to people that you're able to build a list on who are Atlanta plumbers. So again, you have to be careful, but it's a pretty effective way of getting the word out on a massive level. And the one I added today, because I was thinking about this, is that definitely once you start getting beyond 10, you have to start asking for referrals, because I was reflecting on that conversation and that proposal, that pitch we did just a couple weeks ago, and that came in through a referral. And again, I honestly can say that I don't think we do a whole lot to ask for referrals on a daily basis. And it's one of those things that's a very powerful opportunity that we're probably missing, which is you need to ask for referrals from your current customers, because if you've done a good job for them, they're likely to want to review or refer you to some of their friends who may also be small business owners or bigger. Now let's talk for a minute about some of the tools that we have to offer. Some of these are the same that we already went through. For example, the monthly newsletter content. So when you do go beyond the 10, you have the ability to still send out our monthly newsletter to a much bigger list. Definitely you should use our email marketing platform. For anybody who signs up and is interested in your service, I think that we have a great way to engage with them and nurture them over time is to set up an autoresponder course. And we've actually built an autoresponder that all of you guys can use, so just talk to your account manager. But I think we have 7 or 10 emails in that autoresponder course that go from sort of the beginnings of what is online marketing all the way through to why you should work with us in order to help you out with online marketing.
Yeah, Chad, I swear this is not a plant. Someone typed in, I've said this in many webinars before, but I believe that using HubShout SEO to get your own rankings is essential, because if you're a pleased client, you will sell the program that much harder.
And I agree with that. I think actually one of the points I want to make here on this next slide is that, do you practice what you preach? Because I know that when for HubShout at least, a lot of the services that we're selling through, as our reseller programs are services we use for ourselves. And I know a lot of you, we apply some of those to vet hubs, and we have other demos that we do. But I believe absolutely that if you can talk about the success you're having with these services, it sells them that much easier, because when you get in, you're confident in the service, you understand how it actually is impacting your business, and especially if you have experience with maybe the old ways of marketing, Not to say that that those don't work, but if you have experience with things like cold calling or experience with big budget print ads and radio ads, and then you see how efficient online marketing can be, you're going to be the best sales guy in the whole world. So the person who asked the question earlier, they're coming out of AT&T where they may have been selling Yellow Pages. The services we're selling, a lot of your customers will have experience with Yellow Pages, and they'll know what they liked about them and they know what they didn't like. So I think in a lot of ways you get the same directional media opportunity that you got with Yellow Pages, but you're getting it in a much more controlled fashion and generally speaking at a much lower cost, just in terms of the overall return on investment. And then the really nice thing is that there aren't really any long-term, you can't get out of them contracts unless you guys choose to set them up yourselves. But we generally recommend not to add in sort of the onerous long-term contracts that some people had in the Yellow Page days. So in terms of practicing what you preach, you need an attractive site. You do need search engine rankings because people will ask you that. Well, if you guys are so good at SEO, what do you rank on? You want to be able to show some results. Video is huge these days. I think it's a great time on site, and it's a great, it improves the time on site for people, and it actually improves the conversion rate. So the number of people who come watch your video, you build some confidence, they want to talk to you, because then a lot of times when people call in, especially into HubShout, we have a couple videos on the website, they're much further along in the discussion because they've already seen and heard from us. So they're able to jump right into, I kind of get what you guys are talking about. I just need to get the following 5 questions answered. That's great, right? Because, again, in the cold calling days, you spent half your time just trying to get to the person you actually wanted to talk to, or more than half your time. In this case, with the inbound marketing and using video and having a great website, you're educating and answering a lot of those questions up front and qualifying people before they call you. Definitely more and more, I think you need to have a good social media presence, especially if you're going to be selling our social media plans, which we strongly recommend. You want to have a blog where you have an opportunity to be putting fresh new content out. Again, it gives you the looked-in feel. So social media and blog. Blog's great for SEO, but it's also great to give to provide fresh new content on the website, so it looks like there's an active business there. It's not just a site that was put up and hasn't been cared for. And then social media, same thing, gives you a great opportunity to connect with people, but also gives it sort of a looked-in, lived-in look, which is important. And then finally, content marketing is critical. So when you think about your website, what opportunities do you have to write web papers or case studies or infographics about your industry? Because the more content you have to offer up to your potential prospects, the better the chances of them wanting to talk to you, because they can see that, again, you're an expert in the area, you've done a lot of thinking, and there's someone there that would be running the show, which is important. Okay. So next slide, I want to talk about the call to action. So once you get someone to the website, we have a lot of different, we've tried a number of different things to actually get someone to pick up the phone and call us or say that I'd like to talk to you. The one that I would say has been most successful over time is an opportunity to get a demo of our dashboard. And the webinar that we did back in the middle of June, on June 15th, which is on our website, if you click resources, webinars, and you scroll down to the webinar from June 15th, we did a 30-minute we did a webinar where we take you through how to do a demo in 30 minutes. And the benefit, I think, of that webinar is that we're able to use the software to explain online marketing and our approach to online marketing. And I think that's really powerful because it leaves your prospect with not only a better understanding of online marketing and seeing what the impact can be in terms of rankings, traffic to the website, phone calls, and leads, but it also makes a mark in terms of remembering, because they may be talking to 3 or 4 people, remembering that, oh yeah, that was the company that had the neat software. So using the software as part of your demo and part of that initial call to action is really critical. Some other things we've done, we have used white papers and guides and videos. So, content that you can use to read about specific issues, and this is stuff we've used with some of our clients as well. A lot of our B2B software clients that we do pay-per-click campaigns on, a big part of the way they get people to take an action on their website is by writing these fairly technical papers on why a company might need a solution like theirs. So they're never directly selling the solution, but they're kind of leading you up to the point of, here's the problem and here's why what's in the market today doesn't address the issue, and here's the kind of software that's going to be written to actually solve this problem. And oh, by the way, we've written it and here's a link to go buy it if you want to. So, but that last little part of here's a link to go buy it is really at the very end. They kind of build up the demand for it throughout the white paper, and at the end, it's a very soft sell to say, you might want to continue over and do a demo. But that white paper is a low commitment way of getting someone to give you their name and email address so that you can actually follow up with them with a nurturing campaign. Now, this is just one that I wanted to throw on here because we tried this a long time ago and it just didn't work. We tried the free month SEO trial, and that probably will go down as one of our worst ideas ever, because as much as we told people, don't expect to see results. What we want to demonstrate is just our approach. So we want to see how we write an article and how we build a link and how our software works and can connect it with analytics. And we would, all over this thing say, don't expect results. We're just showing you how it works. No matter what, at the end of that 30 days, everyone said, I don't see any results. So we pretty quickly realized that that was just a very bad way to sell it, and we stopped doing that. But in case anyone had a great idea to try a free month trial, it didn't work for us. If it worked for you, great, but good luck.
Total failure. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. So a couple other things that we have for you to help out with the call to action. Of course, you have your private label portal, and I would definitely recommend going through the webinar on how to do a demo and just feel really comfortable. In fact, when we have new account managers start, really the main thing that we focus on with them is training them on how to go through the software and give a good demo. That is probably the, in addition to understanding online marketing and the HubShout approach and system, the demo is a critical part of that. So I would say that to get good at doing a demo, our guys have to do it, 50 times, Adam, 100 times? What do you think?
Yeah, we role play it until the cows come home. Yeah, it's just it's an endless process. We lock ourselves in the room and just do it till it sounds good.
Right. So I think that I would strongly recommend using that 30-minute demo. Play around with the wording if you don't like exactly how I ran through it, but try to imitate that. Run through the demo, run through your own demo, kind of take notes, maybe even record yourself. Go back and watch our demo again. See how you match up. See what places you need to improve. Then use something like the forum to go in and talk to us about, hey, I'm having a hard time connecting writing content with submissions and how submissions link back to the website and why that matters. That's a great topic for the forum. Or if you need to, you can call your account manager and have them almost be the person you role play back to. So we're happy to help you out with any of that stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point. Chen, I've actually been recording video responses to some forum questions. So if you're having a hard time, it'd be a great one to throw in the forum. Maybe you'll get actually a YouTube video response from us.
Perfect. Now, I talked about the demo, and again, there's a good webinar that we did last month to walk through how to do the demo. And again, try to keep that to 30 minutes, because I think if you go too much longer than 30 minutes, you can start to lose people, and you don't leave enough time for questions at the end of the meeting. Okay, so let's just recap where we are at this point. We went through and we found leads, okay, and totally acknowledging that that is a big part of the whole equation here. But to start, we got our leads from our network, and then over time we grew them through some of the other ideas that we put out there for scaling beyond 10. They've been to our website, they've seen a demo, so we practiced our demo, we did a demo. Now they're impressed and we need a proposal. Now we did a webinar back in December on how to write an SEO proposal. So I'm not going to rehash that whole process here. Please take a look at the webinar from back in December. But the bottom line is that we definitely recommend going through and giving a couple options on price. Use the data from the web grader to, again, set up the opportunity for them. So in the case of the plumbing Atlanta example, the opportunity here is that you're getting a very, very small share of the total searches that are happening in the Atlanta market for plumbing. So the opportunity is to increase your share. Are we going to get you from the traffic value of 697 all the way up to 66,000 overnight? Not unless your budget is massive. So the answer would be no. But our goal is to get that from 697 to a couple $1,000s. And then once you see that that's working, you might be willing to say, let's invest a little bit more and keep going from there. So that's really how you want to sort of set up your proposal so that it's not something where you're recommending going in and taking out the number one guy, because that's just not realistic, but to move them up in the rankings so that the value of their traffic is going up. Now, in terms of the proposal, I recommend we've got some stock proposal components that you can get from your account managers. I definitely recommend, like I said, going through and writing a little bit of a personal introduction about their opportunity, including some basic keyword research and giving them some pricing. And so that keyword research may have one or two different options. Hey, if you want to go slow and you don't have a lot of budget, here's option one. But if it's pedal to the metal and you've got big budget and you need to get something done quickly, here's option two. And maybe you can give them three options. There's a lot of selling psychology that says people benchmark off the high, don't want to go with the low, pick the one in the middle. So whatever your philosophy is on that, plug it in, give them the proposal. And then comes the most important part, the follow-through. You're going to say the close. That's also very important, but the follow-through. So I took a screenshot here of just one of our CRM. And so again, this is, when we talk about a CRM, this is a good little example of how that works. So we had a lead come in today, and we had one of our account managers say, indicate that he immediately sent a warm contact email to the prospect, and he set a follow-up task due the next day. So the lead came in on the 11th. So I guess that was yesterday. Came in yesterday, set a follow-up task for the 12th, and then this morning the account manager called and left a voicemail, and then set another follow-up lead for Monday. So and then made a couple notes here on the top, which I included. But this is basically an example of how the follow-through works. So at any given time, Adam can go back and look at his notes on this particular account and know exactly what he's done, and also can see here exactly what follow-up task is created so that he knows what the next step is with this potential customer. And when this person calls in, Adam can go look up the record and very quickly see, yep, he came in on the 11th. I talked to him. He mentioned these three things. I told him I would get him a pricing sheet, and I sent that out to him on this date, and this is my follow-up. So this is a good example of how a CRM is useful. And I guess comparing it to Outlook, if you're really good and you're keeping your notes about your contact in the contact itself, that might work. But this is the kind of view of the relationship that it's very hard to get in Outlook, because theoretically this would be a contact with David, and then it would maybe be a couple emails that you have to look at, and then maybe a couple tasks you created and a couple of calendar events. So putting that all together quickly to understand the total relationship with this customer, so back to the CRM part of it, that's where Outlook maybe falls down a little bit.
Yeah, boy, that's a really beautiful follow-through right there. That's good.
Okay, so again, I want to, in terms of tools, one thing to mention here is that everyone who is a part of a reseller program does have access to use this exact same tool that we're using. So our CRM tool is part of your reseller program, and you can manage all of your inbound leads and all the follow-up just like we're doing here. So there's nothing in this particular process here that's not available to you if you want to use it. All right, the final thing
is free, right, Jen?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's free. And so, if you take a look at Salesforce, which I think starts at $600 per person a year, and some of the other ones $30, $40 a month, there's a heck of a lot of value in that. And the reason it's there, and by the way, a lot of this same functionality is available to your end customer. So your end customer can use the same tools that we had there, just like we're using it or you use it. You can actually extend some of the CRM opportunity down to your end customer. All right, final thing is to close. So we've got a couple things that, in terms of the close. You really want to find reasons to stay in touch. So you get that proposal out to someone, and then inevitably they sit on it. So you need to find reasons to actually get back in touch with them so that you're not just nagging them. So those are perfect examples of use our monthly newsletter, and hopefully it's not multiple months that they're sitting on it, but just in case it is, stick them in your monthly newsletter program so they're getting the information from you. Keep an eye out for trends. So again, back to the plumber example. If you notice some changes or that there's movement in the rankings, especially if you're focusing on a vertical, or that there's some new trend in terms of from a Google Insight report of now more and more people are looking for on-demand hot water heaters or whatever it might be. That's the kind of thing that you might want to send out as a blast. Let them know, hey, by the way, this is a new keyword that came across my desk. You might want to think about it. It's a very interesting one. You could go sort of the green angle. That might be a good opportunity for you. And there's a lot of other ones. Remember events like they said they were going on vacation and that to call you back after vacation. So remember, hey, how was your vacation when you went to the Jersey Shore or wherever it was, and follow up with them that way. So all good ways to stay in touch. And then the final thing here is when you do close, we strongly recommend that you have a client sign a contract and clearly lay out payment terms and expectations. So, there's nothing worse. I mentioned before what's really bad is you get to a proposal and then they sit on it and you don't follow up and you lose the deal. But actually there's something worse than that. You get a signed proposal, you start doing work, or they agree to do it. You start doing work. You don't get a proposal. You don't define payment terms, and you actually do work. Potentially, you pay us to do the work, and they don't pay. That's the worst opportunity. So we have a couple sample MSA SOWs that we've of what we use for our direct customers, and you're more than welcome to use them with the caveat that they are by no means certified or legal in your state. So you can use them as a template only, just like you would download anything off the web as a template contract, but you would need to have your own attorney look at it. But I think they do a decent job of sort of explaining some of the main things like, again, payment terms, termination, and other things that I think you're going to want to have in a contract. Okay, that's all I've got. So I guess if there aren't any other questions. Okay. All right, well, thanks a lot, everyone, for joining today.
That takes us right up to the end of our hour, actually.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone, for joining today, and we'll get this posted on the website tomorrow. If you have any questions, I would love for you to continue this discussion, or would love to continue this discussion in the forum. So I'll make sure when I post the webinar, I also post the link to a thread that we can all talk about this on. So have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you.